Hey coaches, welcome back to Health Coach Radio. It's Erin here. I've got my blue light blocking glasses on because it's dark, it's winter, and I'm ready. I've got my circadian rhythm protected. I hope you do too. Protect that little delicate circadian rhythm, it's important. Today, we're doing something a little different and something I'm very excited about. It's a listener Q&A episode. I didn't ask for questions, but I got some, and let this be my official call for questions. If you have questions you'd like me to answer on the podcast, please reach out to podcast@primalhealthcoach.com. That's a direct line to me, and I will collect your questions and I will put them together in a compilation Q&A episode, much like the one I've got for you today. So these questions that came in are probably some of the most common, but also we can't answer them enough. So I'm very, very excited to answer these three questions that every single coach, myself included, has faced at some point. And what I'm hoping is that I can give you actionable, clear guidance on this rather than some of the chaotic guidance you might get if you ask, for example, if you crowdsource a Facebook group. I don't know if you belong to any of these Facebook groups, but I sometimes will jump into these big Facebook groups, whether it's a wellness group or a business group or professional development group, just to see what's going on, just see if I can learn anything. And when anybody asks a question in one of these enormous Facebook groups, they get 187 different responses, all of which are completely different. And I don't feel like that's a really solid way to move forward with some action. And I'm just an actionable gal. So I do want to give you some actionable advice here today. So here are the three questions that were submitted by listeners just like you. Derek asked, what do I do about the sweaty palmed anxiety I feel before sales calls? So we will talk about the sales call and what that even is and how do we do it. Number 2 came in from, it looks like Julie. How do I know when to leave my full-time job and coach full-time? How do I step into this as my full-time gig and walk away from the thing I've been doing up until now? Pretty important point. And the third question came from somebody whose name I couldn't make out. How on earth do I figure out what to charge? Great question. And it doesn't matter if I don't know who asked it because everybody wants to know how much to charge. So it's good. We've got 3 questions. Anxiety before sales calls, when to leave my full-time job, and figuring out what to charge. So grab a coffee, take a walk, fold some laundry, go in the sauna, whatever you got to do, and listen, and let's get into it. All right, so this one came from Derek, and he says, I get so anxious before sales calls. I know my program helps people, but I freeze when it's time to talk about money. How do I stop feeling like I'm selling and start feeling like I'm serving? So specifically, Derek mentions that the money part of the conversation is the tricky part. But I just want to back up a little bit and suggest that for many people listening, the entirety of the sales call is the tricky part. Now, we should establish some vocabulary because a sales call, it's not my favorite term for it, quite honestly. I don't think about my sales calls as sales calls. I consider them more to be consultations. You might use the word discovery call or clarity call. You can give it whatever name you want. But for me, this is the free consultation that you would do with, quite frankly, any service-based professional before you engage and work with them. I mean, when I had my bathroom remodeled, the contractor came over, measured everything, gave me an estimate, told me the plan, and then we decided if we were going to go ahead together. You know what I mean? So the consultation's a really common part of any service-based industry. So first of all, let's just normalize this. Of course they have to get on a consultation with you. Of course they do. You have to figure out if you have a solution for them. And if you do, great. Now let's talk about what it would look like to work together. We talk logistics, timing, and pricing. But if we don't have the solution for each other, we're not a good fit. We're not even going to proceed. So why even worry about it? So let's, first of all, establish that the consultation is necessary and it's very low pressure. It is a conversation that must happen in any service-based business. Ta-da. So right out the gate, there's nothing stressy about it. Do you think your hairstylist stresses before she gives you the consultation on the hair color? Or do you think the house cleaner that you're hiring stresses when they come over for the first meet and greet visit? Anybody in a service-based business is ready to do this. Now, here's what I think. Maybe you're like me and you never worked in a service-based business before, because I never did. I worked in a corporate job before and I worked on products and I had day-to-day tasks that I did. I didn't work in service to people. So that's just an aptitude you have to develop. I feel like it's almost like learning to speak a new language or play a new instrument. And you can learn how to do anything. 100% you can. But I do feel Derek's question in my bones because for many of us, the word sales still triggers that old image of a salesperson. right? Maybe you've felt this. Maybe you've been on the receiving end of this, being talked into buying something that you don't need or want. Oh my gosh. Have you ever gone to a timeshare presentation at a resort? It's insane. They almost get you to buy a timeshare every time. You feel like kind of a chump. These people are magical salespeople. You don't have to be at that level. And you don't have to feel that way about it. We're not tricking people into buying our health coaching services. Not at all. Let's reframe this. The sales call, the enrollment call, the discovery call, the consultation, all the same, different terms for the same thing. It's not a performance. You're not cosplaying a salesman. It's not a pitch. You're not trying to win the business. It's simply a coaching conversation with a purpose. You're not trying to convince anyone of anything. You're not going to talk somebody into doing something they're not ready to do. You don't want to work with somebody who's not ready, quite honestly. This is a conversation to find out readiness. Do I have the solution for this person's problem? Are they really ready to do it? Are we a good fit? You're trying to help someone make a decision about their own future. How lucky are you to have these meaningful conversations with people? It's a meaningful conversation. And it's really sacred if you think about it. If they're on the call with you, they self-selected into your calendar. You didn't twist their arm and make them book the call. They booked it. They're already hoping that you can help them. They're looking for your clarity, your leadership. They're looking for a safe container where they can share how they're feeling about their current health struggles and what they want it to look like when it's better. And that's what you'll offer by simply coaching them through the conversation. Here, I do have to pause and mention that a sales or enrollment or discovery call is ultimately a type of coaching call. We want to get clear on where you are now, where you want to be, and what the barriers are in between. And let's make a goal to start moving closer to that goal, clear the barriers out of the way. That's coaching. So hopefully you've shored up your coaching skills. You feel confident in your abilities to coach, because if you feel confident in your abilities to coach, then the discovery call, the sales call is easy. It's just another coaching call with somebody who opted into your calendar. This is a nice relationship. This isn't slimy or sleazy. But I want to validate one thing, because I will be really honest with you, just between us friends. I still feel this sometimes. Sometimes it feels like every discovery call is so crucial. Like, I've got to get this one. I've got to get this one. I need to make this X number of impact. I need to make this X number of dollars. I have goals. I have objectives. Sometimes I feel really like I need it. That's not the best energy. I feel like when I go into a discovery call with that kind of needy energy, it doesn't go well. And I'm going to say a phrase to you that I'm sure you've heard before, and I apologize if this phrase doesn't feel actionable. I'm going to try to make it actionable. But the phrase is detachment from the outcome. So just go in with great intention, but detach from the outcome. I am intending to meet this person where they are, have a really important, meaningful face-to-face conversation with them. Whatever happens, happens. It really changes the energy. So instead of thinking, I have to sell this person, I have to get this sale, try thinking, I'm going to help this person see what's possible. I have high confidence in my ability to help people. I want to see if I have the solution for this person's struggle. And if I do, let's find out if I'm the right person to guide them there. That's it. So Derek, when it comes to the money part, if this is the moment where you get suddenly awkward, because even the most cool, calm, and collected cucumber on the Zoom can get a little wiggly once we start talking money. But here's my encouragement. Here's what I do. First of all, we're going to talk about pricing in a second, because that was the third question that came in, but I feel good about my price. I know exactly how much it is. I can say it clearly. I have some payment options that I can articulate well. And I like the price, so I don't feel weird about asking it. It's a good price. We'll come back to that in a second. What we want to do is simply name the price without explaining it or offering the payment plans or saying, but what you get for that is just name the price. Can I just share one small pet peeve that I hope will be helpful? When I'm on the phone with somebody who is trying, we're having a discovery call to see if I'm a good fit to work with them. And this could be a general contractor or a coach that I might be hiring or any kind of service provider. When they give me the price, if they say 2K, 4K, I don't like that. $2,000. It's 4,000 US dollars. 2,500 Canadian dollars. Whatever the price is, just say it in a number like a grown up. 4K, 3K. It feels like that's a weird way of describing a price. That's just my request to you. Please don't say K, say 1,000 or 100 or whatever your price is, but let's just be grown-ups. We're talking about money. Name the price, say it in a confident tone of voice, and believe in it. So Derek, I think your question is going to be useful when we get to the third question in today's Q&A, because we'll talk about, is the price even right? Do you like your price? The second though you start explaining why it costs that much, you are losing the sale. So name the price. And then frame it in the context of serving. Bob, I based on everything we've talked about today, I feel really confident that I can help you get closer to your goal of, losing some inches around your midsection and dropping your blood pressure. So would you like to hear more about how it looks to work together? And Bob will say, yes, I'm in, because you've had this beautiful discovery call. You talked about Bob's hopes, his dreams, his barriers, his pains, his struggles, what he wants for his life. Then you get into the prescription part of this conversation where you start describing how you work with them. So we have a 6-month container, and you're going to learn my method of health. And I'm paraphrasing, and you'll say, we're going to have weekly coaching calls where I'm in your corner to help, celebrate your wins, but most importantly, guide you through the struggles and renegotiate the plan so that you always feel like you're moving closer to your goal. Do you think you would get closer to your goal with my help, Bob? And Bob will say, yes, absolutely. And then you might say, really, why? Or you might just say, you do, tell me why. That's even better. You do, tell me why. And then Bob's going to tell you why. Well, because I really do well when I have an accountability partner, and I like having a plan, and I'm really ready to make this change. What Bob is giving you here is called change talk. He's telling you all the reasons why he needs to do this program. This is a great time to drop the price. Amazing, Bob. So the next thing to talk about is logistics, timing, and pricing. Would that be okay? Absolutely. Okay, so the good news is we can get started right away. I'm going to send you some intake forms. And once those intake forms come back to me, I'll enroll you in my curriculum. You and I will book a kickoff call, probably for tomorrow or the next day, if that's good. Just a quick call to get you oriented, and you're off and running. And we'll be moving closer to your goals as soon as possible. How does it feel to start immediately, Bob? Does that sound like a good plan? Bob says, yes, it does. It does. Why? Then Bob's going to give you more change talk. Well, because I'm ready now. I've put this off long enough. Bob is talking himself into it. Amazing, Bob. So the final thing is the investment. The price for the 6-month coaching relationship that I described to you is $4,000 US. Now, Bob is going to do some calculation. Wouldn't you? I would. I'd be going up in my head thinking, how much money do I make per month? What other bills? I'd be maybe getting my calculator out and figuring out what that breaks down to monthly. I might even ask, do you have a monthly payment plan? I sure do, Bob. Yeah. It's $675 a month. So you pay a little more. If you pay monthly, you can save a few $100s if you pay in full. But if that's easier for cash flow, we can get you on a monthly payment plan, no problem. What do you say, Bob? Should we get you started? I mean, Bob basically talked himself into it. So I think the thing about dropping the price is that you have to get to the price drop with such encouraged energy from the client that it only makes sense to talk about these logistical next steps. They're simply logistical next steps. Of course, we can get into objection handling, which I think would be a future episode. And let me just reiterate, I'm not a master salesperson, but I have these conversations all the time. I have 4 tomorrow, in fact. And I would say I have a 30% close rate, which is probably industry standard. That means for every 3 people I talk to, 1 says yes. I like that. I feel good about that. I could probably get that higher if I really, really worked on my selling skills. But this method has really worked for me, and it starts by feeling very excited to connect with people who put themselves in my calendar because they think I can help them, and I believe I can too, as long as we're a good fit. It's a 2-way conversation. Are we a good fit? If it is, then I don't feel any kind of way about the price. Of course there's an investment here. There was an investment when I remodeled my bathroom. Why did I think that was going to be free or inexpensive? No, but I needed it. I wanted it. I was happy with the consultation I had with the contractor. We've done this before. We've been on the consumer end of a great experience before. Think about the time you've been on the consumer end of a great sales experience where you found a solution that was so perfect for what you needed, and the price was a bit of an investment stretch, but you knew it was going to be worth it, and how excited you feel. Because anytime I've stretched myself to invest in coaching specifically, I've felt so excited about that investment. So excited. And one more thing. And let's imagine Bob here, my imaginary client, pays $4,000 US to work with me for 6 months. Don't you think he's going to lean in and squeeze every drop out of that? It's an amazing exchange of services. So I don't know, Derek, this is more of a pep talk. I gave you a little bit of a tactic on how to move into the pricing part of the conversation, but it's the end of the conversation after you've had an amazing session with a prospective client. You've shown them what it feels like to have somebody on their side. And if they are a good fit to work with you, they'll let you know. And then the money thing is simply it's just a logistical transaction. It really can feel that way, but it really starts by reframing this conversation. Okay, second question came from, I think it was Julie, my bad, sorry, Julie. Julie says, I work full-time and coach on the side. I want to go full-time eventually, but I'm terrified of losing my steady paycheck. How do you know when it's time to make the leap? Julie says. Short answer, I don't think you're leaping. Listen, maybe I'm overly, cautious, logical, pragmatic person, but leaping doesn't feel like the right choice. You have a mortgage to pay. You have a family to support. Why would you can't leap away from your steady paycheck. We're tiptoeing. We're taking a step. We're taking many steps. It took me 3 years to step away from my full-time career. Man, I'm so glad I did it though. I'm so glad I did it because that career was fine, but this career is amazing. But I do think every coach dreams of the day they can finally say, I'm doing this for real. I'm following my passion, my calling, my authentic expression of self. And we want it to be sooner rather than later. But it probably won't be. So again, at risk of sounding like a broken record, there's a little bit of expectation management here and maybe reframing. It's not a leap, it's a staircase, like many things that we change. Oh my gosh, how many times have I talked about this with respect to the client relationship? The client has an outcome goal. They want to lose 100 pounds. Well, they're not losing 100 pounds quickly. That's going to take a lot of little steps along the way. And unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, it's the same for any really important big outcome goal, including leaving your full-time job. So you would be wise to break it into steps. And I think what's also useful is having a threshold. When I earn this much, if I can earn this much, then I can start to move away from my full-time job. And that might require you to go into your household budget and maybe make some adjustments. I've heard this before where coaches took a look at how much they really needed to earn. Like, let's say you're making $100,000 at your day job and you're thinking, okay, I have to make $100,000 at my coaching job before I can leave. But if you looked at the numbers, maybe you could make a move sooner if you just changed some spending or something. So it might be worth looking at the numbers, getting really clear. What I did, if this is helpful, is I picked up other side gigs. So I got so sick of my full-time job that I said, okay, I do have to leave this job because it's going to kill me. I hate it so much. So I picked up a side gig at a coffee shop and a side gig at a smoothie bar and a side gig at a vitamin store while I was building my business. Now for me, juggling these 3 part-time jobs wasn't a cognitive heavy lift, unlike my full-time career, which was very, very, very demanding of my nervous system and my mental energy and my cognition. It squeezed me dry. So I didn't have anything left to work on my business. But what I did was I moved to things that were simpler, gentler, and easier to multitask, if you will. Quite honestly, just a sidebar to my sidebar. The coffee shop I worked at was really cool because they wanted somebody to come in and revamp the menu and make healthy food items. So I got to come in and create a menu for this coffee shop with healthy food items, which is kind of cool for somebody like myself who's becoming a health coach. But also it was really not that busy at this coffee shop. So I could bring my computer and work on my business in between customers. So I was making, minimum wage at 3 little gigs, but I figured that if I could do that and I could pay my bills and really put some effort into building my health coaching business. And that worked for me. That's not everybody's cup of tea. So what you'll end up probably doing, another example of what people do, is they keep their full-time job and then they work on this in evenings and weekends. That does mean that, when you start booking discovery calls, as I talked about with Derek's question, you'll be doing discovery calls in your evenings and weekends, which is fine. Do them on your lunch break, squeeze them in. Depending on what kind of job you have, maybe you have an office, you can close the door and do a discovery call in the middle of the workday. I didn't tell you to do that, but maybe you could. I've heard coaches who have, been really upfront and honest with their employer, saying, hey, I'd like to take a step back. I still feel passionate about what we're doing here, but I do need to take a step back. So I'm looking at maybe working 1 or 2 fewer days a week. What could that look like? And your employer might not go for it. I know mine wouldn't have gone for that at all. That's why I had to leave. But maybe your employer would go for it. Just carve some space. You just need time to build it. So you have to create some time and then get very real about how much you need to earn, and also get really real in the time frame. And I think we've been saying on this podcast since from jump that you're looking at probably 3 years. And that's just a number we kind of plucked from thin air, but it does seem to be kind of an industry standard. But you know what I tell my clients all the time, my weight loss clients, the time is going to pass anyway. What are you going to do instead? Let's do it. Let's just do it. Start now. Start now in the spare time you have. Make an intentional move out of it, but don't be in a hurry because it probably won't come quickly. Now, what are you working on? You're like, okay, I'll do this in my evenings and weekends, but what am I doing? What am I doing actually? Well, you have to have a concept. You have to have a coaching program, a product of some kind that you'll go to market with. Hi, I'm a health coach. Here's what I do. We have to have something tangible that we're marketing and selling so people can, when they find us, they know what we do and what we don't do. So start thinking about what your expertise is, what your solution would be. You can start putting that together. I personally started with this. It's kind of because I'm a bit of a technology and systems person, but I started thinking about the customer journey. I said, okay, who do I want to work with? How do I want to help them? And what would be the first step? The first step would be they need to get on a call with me. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is get a booking tool. I'm going to build a website with a landing page. It has a booking button. I'm going to go get the Instagram handle for the business I want. I'm going to go buy the web URL for the business name that I want. Some of these moving parts, like getting yourself set up and then thinking through, here's the thought experiment I like to put students and coaches through, which is if somebody got on your calendar tomorrow for a discovery call and you sold them, what's the first thing they need to do? An intake form, right? A client agreement, some way of paying you. Then you'd have some kind of onboarding session where you walk them through what the next 12 weeks or 6 months is going to look like. Then you need to have some kind of curriculum to enroll them in so they could learn your approach. You'd have to have weekly coaching calls. So you need to build all this infrastructure and think through how it's going to go. And I think these thought experiments are really cool. Because it's very tangible. When I get a client, what will they do? You can take practice clients through, friends, loved ones. They're not always the best clients, but just to test your systems, that's great. I spend a lot of time testing my own systems. You can also just do that yourself. But you want to be so ready for when somebody clicks the book now button and gets in your discovery call calendar. So I think you put your energy into creating systems, processes, protocols. You will at the same time be marketing yourself. You don't wait to start marketing yourself. You have to start marketing yourself yesterday. Okay. If you want to get out of your job, you got to put yourself in business. I'm in business. I'm a health coach. Let's go. Here's what I do. Yep, I'm probably talking about social media. I'm talking about building an email list, all these things. They are fun. I know they don't sound fun. I look back on the start of my business with such nostalgia, just beautiful, pure joy, nostalgia at those early days of building something brand new from scratch. And look at me now, 12 years later, I have a very successful coaching business. I get to talk to health coaches and teach health coaches at Primal Health Coach Institute. I get to host Health Coach Radio. I am the hardest working gal in health coaching, if I do say so myself. And I did that. I quit my job and went and worked at a coffee shop and a smoothie bar. I don't drink coffee. I don't drink smoothies. I just did it. Because I wanted to do it. And then I built something completely from scratch. And you know what? You probably don't even have to do it from scratch anymore. You can probably download tools, ready, done for you programs, curriculum building platforms that build it for you using AI tools. Oh, you can harness the power of ChatGPT to help you come up with your systems, your protocols, your customer journey. You have all the help in the world you need in the form of robots if you want them. But I think you start with systems. And by systems, I mean the technology and the protocols, the program that your clients will go through. And at the same time, you have to start marketing yourself. So when do you leap? Then you decide when you leap. And it's just going to be, there's a threshold you'll get across. I think it's good to think about that now. I think that I want to share one more thing about this as I'm thinking about the threshold. You might get to your threshold, your quote unquote jumping point. This is my time. I can go now. I can step out of my full-time job and move into my coaching career now. Maybe I'll get a side gig. Now's the time. I'm ready to go. And it will still feel scary afterwards. It will still feel scary afterwards. I just want to validate, maybe this was just my experience, but I didn't quit my full-time career and feel immediate elation and freedom. I felt nervous and panicked. And I just think that's realistic. And I just want to be real with you. But it's sort of like, I have a business coach who says the pain of staying where you are has to be greater than the pain of change. So that's a lived experience that you just have to kind of go through. But if you're waiting for it to feel perfect, it probably never will. Okay. And for me, maybe for you, what nudged me to make that choice was every time I stepped into my office, I realized this isn't where I'm meant to be. I'm meant to be somewhere else. I've got something else. There's something else out there for me for sure. And it took me a little while to establish that confidence. You don't have to be fearless to leap. You don't have to have everything perfect to leap. You have to just be prepared enough. Preparation, as non-sexy and non-vibey as that advice is, it's real. It's a preparation. So just start now. The sooner you start, the sooner you can get out there, you know? Build your staircase, one small proof of concept at a time. And then when the fear of staying put outweighs the fear of that awkward, nerve-inducing, quote unquote, leap, that's your moment. All right, the third question came in from somebody whose name I cannot decipher. It is a username with many consonants. This question's about pricing. There's so much conflicting advice about how to price my program. High ticket, low ticket, subscription, membership, hybrid, launch, evergreen. Oh my gosh, how do I know what pricing model makes sense for me? Okay. Now, the thing about this question is it's kind of a pricing question and kind of a sales mechanism or programming question. So I'm going to just talk about pricing first. This is my tried and true pricing pep talk. Are you ready? Get comfortable. I think you pick a price that you feel great about. So the price of my 6-month program, I feel great about it. It's $3,450 for 6 months with me. Very high touch, personalized coaching relationship with me. And I've got a great solution for the right person. And I think $3,450 is a perfect price for it. Could I charge $7,000 for it? I could. People are. I just don't think I want to charge. That doesn't feel like the right number to me. I could charge $1,000 for it. I'm sure people would really love it if I did, but that doesn't feel like the right price either. $3,450 feels like the right price. And that's all I've got for you. And, 10 years ago, $1,200 felt like the right price. But as I grew and matured as a health coach, and my program grew and matured, and my social proof grew and matured, and my audience grew and matured, the price went up, and it just went up in an appreciable quantity that I feel great about. Now you can back into this. How much do I want to make my hourly rate? How many hours of work is it? Sometimes I think through that too. I think my hourly rate is like $350 or something. So I contemplate how many hours of work is it per client. I think that's a luxury for an established coach, quite honestly, because if you're a new coach, and I don't know if this person's a new coach or established or what, but if you're a new coach, then there's a ton of work. You're putting a ton of work in. Once your practice and your protocol is established, you can say, oh, each client gets, 28.5 hours of time with me. Multiply that by whatever my hourly rate is, and this is the price of the program, and it's just brass tacks. I don't think that always plays out for a newer coach, so I think you have to figure out where you're at on the continuum. But pick a price that feels good. Even if it's too low, even if it's too low, let's say you aim too low, you will know immediately. You know what? I'm not charging enough. The very next time you get on a discovery call, just raise the price. That's the thing. That's the beautiful thing about pricing. You can literally change it every time. Every time you have a conversation with a prospective client, you can change the price. Okay, it's $1,000 for 12 weeks. Next time, it's $1,100 for 12 weeks. It's $1,200. It's $1,500. It's $1,700. You'll find where it feels right. In fact, for a while there, I was charging $5,000 and it didn't feel right. So I brought it back down to $3,450. I don't know. This is my harebrained kind of woo. This is the wooest I get. Pick a price that feels right. Now, I also want to just validate and mention to you all that I have a weird money mindset, and I think you need to explore yours as well. So I do, I got this boomer work ethic that I inherited from my parents, and the value of $1, and I'm not prone to these very high ticket coaching packages. Some of them are astronomical. I know a gal, I have got a peer who's charging $9,000 for a 12-week program, and she just decided to increase the price to $15,000. And that's amazing. And somebody's going to pay that. Some people will pay that. I just don't want to play in that super, super exclusive luxury, high ticket realm. I want to hang with normal people like me. I'd pay $34.50 for my program. That's what I'm saying about it feeling right. I want to work with people like me, and I know what people like me can afford, and I know what people like me value, and I know what people like me find value in and are willing to invest in. So that's how I do pricing. I don't know if that's helpful, but I think it's a great starting place. I just don't know a better way to do this. I can start throwing some formulas at you, but I don't think that's helpful, especially not in kind of a vague open Q&A like this. I think my advice is some of the greatest advice going for pricing. You'll know if it's too little, you'll know if it's too much. It's just right. Was it the baby bear Goldilocks moment? Just right. And you can always change it. But here's one thing I just want you to remember, and this goes back even to the top of the episode with Derek's question about the discovery call. You're not charging for your time, you're charging for the transformation. Okay, I think that's really important for us all to remember, is that the price of the program isn't. This is why I don't like doing the hourly rate, backing in with an hourly rate, because it's not actually paying for my time. You're paying for a transformation that you haven't been able to get on your own, and that you're going to get with my help. If it took 5 minutes, but we got it solved, that would be worth $3,450. If it takes 2 years and we get it solved, it's worth every penny. It's the transformation. That's why I think you pick a price that you vibe with, that you think your transformation is worth. And I've thought about this too. Let's say, for example, a client balks at the price. $3,450 for 6 months? That's like $500 a month or something, $600 a month. Yeah, but Sally, you have been fighting your weight for 20 years. So if we actually do the math on that, it's like $60 a month, because for the last 20 years, you haven't been able to solve this problem. You could play it cheeky like that. Remember, they haven't solved the problem and you have the solution. If they really want the solution, they'll pay, they'll open their wallet. And if they don't, then they're not a right client for you. That doesn't mean they're not going to come back and work with you someday. I really, by the way, for whatever it's worth, because it's pertinent to Derek's question as well, I believe somebody when they tell me that now is not the right time financially. And I'll say, no problem. I have payment options. I'll send those over to you in case cash flow is a concern. We can do this monthly. We can do this biweekly. There's lots of options. I even have found some zero interest credit cards that people can apply for. What the heck? Put it on a credit card. Here's a good one. Zero interest. You get $2,000 cash back on any purchase over, it's cool. But if they tell me they can't afford it, I'm not fighting with them on that. I mean, they know where I am when they want the change, but I believe that my price tag is commensurate with the transformation they get. Well, there you have it. 3 big, brave questions: sales, taking leaps, pricing. This is the stuff we are all thinking about, because I will tell you, these are the most commonly asked questions, always and forever. Always and forever. I could do an episode on this every single week, because it would never be enough. We just have to keep hearing this. If you heard yourself in one of these questions, or all of them, you're not behind. You're exactly right where you should be. Every single successful health coach that you see went through these exact same moments of sort of churning through curiosity and doubt and wondering and worrying and all those big feelings, and decided to do it anyway. I know I did. I didn't know what to charge. I didn't know what my program was going to look like. I didn't know if I even could do this, but I knew I definitely needed to try. And man, it was so worth it. It was worth riding those feelings. You'll never feel perfectly ready in any of these 3 scenarios. You're never going to feel perfect at your discovery calls. You're never going to feel the perfect time to leap from your full-time career. You're never going to feel like your price is quite perfect, or you're feeling confident in dropping the price. But you have to just be brave enough to do stuff a little scared. What's the worst case scenario? What, you go back to your old job? There you go. No problem. Right? Something. I don't want to downplay the fear and the trepidation that you feel, because I think it's a really normal part of change. But you've got to do it. I mean, you're here listening. It's your calling. You at least owe it to yourself to try. And I have high confidence it'll pay off. Just harness a little bit of bravery to do it a little bit scared. So if this episode helped at all, I'd love to hear from you. You can reach out to me anytime at podcast@primalhealthcoach.com. Send me a question. I'll just riff on it. I'll just riff on it with my own perspective as a seasoned, successful health coach. I'm not your business coach. I'm not your mindset coach. I'm a health coach in the trenches, doing the dang thing every day with clients, on discovery calls, naming my price, building programs, taking big career leaps. I'm doing it. I've done it. And I'm happy to share with you my perspective on it. I'm just a few years ahead of you. So hit me up with your questions, and I'm here to support you. Thanks for listening to Health Coach Radio, and I'll see you next time.